Hey there, anime fan, it's Sailor Moon review time. Today I'm looking at episode 6. The show begins with Tuxedo Mask announcing to the media that he wants to get his white-gloved hands on the legendary Silver Crystal.
And tonight's lead story is an overdressed dolt is trying to pilfer a legendary knick-knack we've never heard of.
Must have been a slow news day.
But the Dark Kingdom has a plan to take advantage of all this press, so Queen Beryl dispatches Zoisite to harvest human energy by corrupting that purest of entertainment forms, TV. So with the good folk of Tokyo Town pointlessly searching for the Silver Crystal in broom closets and steamer trunks, the scouts are having a bit of an argument. Apparently, Luna thinks Tuxedo Mask is a no-good rat in a cheap suit. Serena, of course, disagrees, and rather than advocate on her beloved's behalf and convince her friends that he's not the bad guy, she runs off crying.
Our hero, everybody.
Right before the scouts go up against Zoisite in a particularly cool fight. But Zoe's no pushover, and things get even worse when QB herself takes the field. But thank goodness Tuxedo Mask is on hand to give Serena the pep talk she needs to transform into Sailor Moon, and put a one-hit whooping on Zoe and send QB back into her own dimension. So the upward trend continues with Sailor Moon Crystal. This episode has a nice sense of tension, with Tuxedo Mask threatening a crime wave until he gets the Silver Crystal. There are also a lot of neat moody scenes where the scouts aren't quite sure who to trust. I also thought it was cool the way Zoisite managed to use Tuxedo Mask's activities to the Dark Kingdom's advantage. Although, if he was doing anything other than using the Silver Crystal as cover for another energy harvesting scheme, like say actually using innocent civilians to look for an object of limitless power in suburban garages and crawl spaces, now that just would have been stupid, now wouldn't it? But I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt on this one. Too bad I can't give the benefit of the doubt to Serena for being annoying and abandoning the team right before a fight. And they can't seem to pick a reason why she did it either. Is it Luna and the other scouts don't trust Tuxedo Mask? Or I'm useless? For the first one, that's just no reason to walk out on the team. All Sailor Moon needed to do was go to the fight, and if it turns out Tuxedo Mask wasn't behind the whole thing, she could just be dropping I told you so's on Amy, Ray, and Lita for the next month. Now, the whole idea of not wanting to get involved because you wouldn't add anything or would just be in the way does work, if you set it up right. I could see Goliath spending his evenings in the library because he feels like the world just doesn't need gargoyles anymore. Or Batman hanging up the cape and cowl because he feels like all he does is create more homicidal psychopaths. But that needs some real build-up to be effective. Here, Serena just all of a sudden doesn't want to fight because she feels like her friends are cooler than she is.
Well, they kinda are.
That's not the point. The point is, she's the guardian of truth and justice, and I demand that she punish something. Now let's look at the action scene. Even though there's only one fight, it's pretty good by Sailor Moon Crystal standards. Mercury, Jupiter, and Mars are facing off against Zoisite. All three scouts get to use their superpowers, and they seem to have the ability to fly, or are just really good jumpers maybe. And when Sailor Moon finally does join in, she lets loose with a fight-ending finishing move. The bad guys aren't half bad in this fight either. Zoe has green-tinged explosions that slap the inner guardians back into submission, and Queen Beryl has some sort of vague power which makes the screen go all wiggly.
Oh no, not cheap special effects. Anything but that.
I have to say the Sailor Scouts' powers are awesome. They actually look like they're doing something really impressive, instead of just running through canned animation. And right at the end, we get to see a Sailor V cameo. Oh, and finally, I was also a little bugged by Tuxedo Mask. Apparently, he's bummed out because he doesn't have superpowers. Darien, my man, you don't need superpowers. You've saved the Sailor Scouts over and over again with cut flowers and well-placed words of wisdom. You can slap Yoma around with your fancy walking stick. The Scouts may save the world, but you save them. Without you, the wheels come off the whole operation. Okay, now it's time to break down the good and the bad in Sailor Moon Crystal Episode 6. On the good side, this episode has a great sense of tension and a darn cool action scene that really shows off some great animation. On the other hand, I just can't get past the rather mopey antics of our leading man and leading lady. So I give Sailor Moon Crystal Episode 6 a 3.5 out of 5. If you're interested in more reviews of anime, movies, TV shows, comic books, or video games, check out my channel on YouTube at StupidPrivate913, or find me on Facebook or DeviantArt for video updates and more. Thanks for watching.
Hey kids, today's show is brought to you by the letter 4 and the number potato! I'm a stupid private.